Ever say to yourself when you're watching some of these Brewer games, it's like, how do we win? How are we finding a way to getting it done? 83-61, a much needed W to start off this West Coast road trip for the Brewers. We'll get to it coming up next here on Lockdown.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
With a 1 seed or a 2 seed very much in the balance. Yes, very much in the balance. The Brewers get a win in San Francisco. Hold on, 3-2 in the ninth inning. Devin Williams slams the door shut. Got a little nervous there, but he does the job. Hi, everybody. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day, late night, early morning here on a Wednesday. Great to have you along. Following us along here on Locked On Brewers, number one Brewers podcast on the internet because you great Brewer fans out there. Yeah, as I said in the open there, sometimes I'm watching these games and I see this lineup and the lineup comes out middle of the day for a night game and you look at the lineup and you say, man, are the Brewers this good or is the rest of baseball just this bad? You look at this lineup. You couldn't find an all-star except for Contreras in the offensive part of that lineup. I mean, Chourio looking back probably would be. But you look at this lineup. Chourio, Mitchell, Contreras, Bowers in the 4-hole, Adames batting 5th, Frelick batting 6th, Blake Perkins 7th, Ortiz 8th, Bryce Turang 9th. I mean, look at that lineup. Chourio at 273. Mitchell at 251, Contreras 281, Bowers batting 194 in the cleanup spot. Bowers hasn't done much since like July. Adames 253, Frelick 261, Perkins 251, Ortiz 242, Turang 254. If you would just look at this lineup, someone would just, let's say you were living on an island somewhere, nobody around, you were on Gilligan's Island. Okay. And somebody handed you the lineup and said, here is the batting averages and here is this lineup for the Milwaukee Brewers. You would say, looks to me like the 1995 or 94 Milwaukee Brewers. They're probably headed for 71 wins, maybe 68 wins. And then you see 83-61 and you'd say, how are they winning games? I mean, it's amazing to me sometimes. I'm sitting back and watching the game tonight, and this lineup, if you watch Sunday's game too, is just so feeble. I don't mean to bury the Brewers here. I don't, because, they've earned the 83 wins. But it's like sometimes I wonder, and I'm like, man, how are they doing this? How are these teams their opponents who supposedly got bigger payrolls, the San Francisco Giants, the big market San Francisco Giants, how are the Brewers better than them? I know the Giants have won World Series titles, but I'm saying right now. All right, how are the Brewers better than San Francisco? How are they? Not spending them, that's for sure. But I mean, some of these teams, how are the Brewers better than some of these teams? Get it done. You know what it is? They're getting it done with the farm system. And if they're 83-61 and winning with some of these young guys, like I said before, this division is theirs for the taking for a long time. But for me and all of us, it's more than just winning the division. Like on the broadcast tonight, I love the guys. But on the broadcast tonight, they're saying, well, the Cubs are losing right now, so the Brewers can gain another game in that magic number. Right, the Cubs are playing the Dodgers. We're trying to catch the Dodgers. Like the division is a foregone matter. All right. We're trying to catch the Dodgers. And as a result, with the Cubs coming up with a rally late, the Brewers are just 2 games, 2 games behind the Dodgers in the loss column. Milwaukee's got 61. Dodgers got 59. Philadelphia's got 58. Yeah, 2 games behind the Dodgers. Let's get this idea of the magic number from the NL Central. Let's quit talking about that. All right, that's a foregone conclusion. If the Brewers blow the NL Central, they need to shut down AmFam Field and the Brewers don't need to be a team anymore. If they blow this lead in the NL Central, I don't even look at that. I was pulling for the Cubs tonight. I don't know about you. I wasn't like, oh boy, the Cubs won. Darn. We couldn't reduce that magic number under 9. No, I was jubilated when the Cubs won that game. Scored 5 runs late, won a game. I tweeted back at Adam McGalvey. He put that, and I said, Adam, let's look at this. The Dodgers, man, we're catching the Dodgers. We need to get one of those top 2 seeds. Forget the division. Let's get one of these top 2 seeds. I don't care how the Cubs are doing right now. The Cubs are playing the Dodgers. I'm a Cubs fan. Cubs are playing the Dodgers. I'm pulling right now. I'm pulling for the Cubs because I'm trying to catch the Dodgers. That's the way. There's no way you should be thinking, look at the scoreboard rush. Oh, let's see how the Cubs are doing. Oh, they might catch us. Cubs ain't catching anybody. Okay? But they can sure do the Brewers a favor here by having a successful week against the Dodgers. So I'm telling you, you got to pull for the Cubs in that series against the Dodgers. 2 games behind the Dodgers. Because we win the division, okay, and we get that 3rd seed, and we're playing the wild card, and we're saying, well, geez, we won the division, but here we are in the wild card again. No. Let's get home field advantage. Let's skip the wild card and get right to it. Get right to the NL divisional series. So pull for the Cubs. 9 magic number. I quit watching that magic number thing a long time. Now, if the division was like 4 or 5 games, okay, yeah, then I'd be watching the Cubs. But this division is 1. Let's catch the Phillies and the Dodgers. And the Phillies won, so they stay at 58 losses. Milwaukee 61, Dodgers 59. Now 2 games behind the Dodgers in the loss column. That's what I'm focusing on. Tell me if I'm wrong on that. Am I missing something on that? Should I not be thinking that the division is a foregone conclusion and that we should be focusing on if we're only 2 games behind the Dodgers? Now, if we're 7 or 8 games behind the Dodgers, and I'd say, okay, well, the wild card, we're going to win it. Now we're going to get the wild card spot. Let's look at the division, which the Brewers are going to win anyway. But no, that wild card is in the range. Cubs, thank you for doing us a favor. Thanks, Craig. Brewers 2 games behind the Dodgers. That's the way we should look at it. Tell me if I'm wrong on that. I don't think I am. My goal for them to go 4-2 on this road trip. Now they got to go 3-2 the rest of the way. Because I want to come back within that 2 or 3 game, that 1 or 2 game range of Philadelphia. But now the Dodgers, who were 4 games ahead of the Brewers a couple of days ago, they've gone a little slide. Now the Brewers are just 2 games behind them. I'm telling you, it's there for the taking. As bleak as the Brewers look sometimes, and it wasn't a very good homestand, they could right a few wrongs on this road trip. Now let's just win one of these final 2 games against San Francisco before we fly into Arizona for Friday in a weekend series. So got off to a good start on this road trip, and the Brewers got the job done. We'll talk more about that and who started in the game. Well, there was limited offensive stars, but did like a couple of things out of this game. We'll get to that coming up next. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Gametime app. Oh, and by the way, Gametime is the sponsor of this show. Gametime, download the Gametime app, create an account, use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, $20 off your first purchase with Gametime. My apologies, I should have mentioned that in the beginning. Terrific sponsor. I tell you, I use Gametime to buy my tickets, get great seats. Best thing to do with Gametime, wait like an hour before game time, and those prices start dropping. You're risking something. You might not get the seats you want sometimes, because if you snooze, you lose. You don't want to do that. But if you want to take a risk, man, an hour before the game, those seats are dropping. But I like about it too, the panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. You punch it in, and you see where you're going to sit. Lowest price guarantee, or Gametime will credit you 110% of the discount. The Gametime ticket coverage, your purchase is covered. The most flexible customer service policy in the ticket industry. But here's what you need to do. You got to download that Gametime app, create an account, use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB That's Locked On MLB for $20 off your purchase. You buy $70 worth of tickets next week against the Phillies for two. You buy $2, 2 tickets for $70. It's going to cost you $50. But again, terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code Locked On MLB, LOCKEDON MLB, $20 off. Download the Gametime app first. What time is it? It is game time. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Hey, you get our podcast on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your podcast. Our podcast is right there waiting for you. It's all free. And if you download the audio version of it, please go to YouTube. Please subscribe on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, hit the like button, everything on there. All the content is free. And the same if you download the audio podcast every day, or if you go to it, there's got to be some sort of setting on there where you can have the podcast downloaded to your phone or device right away. It's there. You can also, in the house, all you got to say to your devices is call out that person's name on the device. I don't want to say it because she's waiting in back here. And if I say her name, it'll go off. But say the device name, say Locked On Brewers, and there you go. There you go. All right, there are a couple of stars. Yeah, Bauer's hitting in the 4th spot. Is that much better than Contreras? I'm sorry, not Contreras. Sanchez hitting in the 4th spot. I love Contreras. I like Contreras actually in the 3 or 2 hole. Heck of a lot better. Bauer in his 194 average, he went 1 for 4. Garrett Mitchell, maybe the highlight of the game, blasted a home run. Looks like he's getting a little bit better at bats. I don't know. I need more from Mitchell if I'm going to start trusting him at the plate more. Now, somebody asked me on one of the talk shows in Wisconsin, should Garrett Mitchell be the 4th place hitter? You can't trust any of these guys in the 4th spot because there's nobody in the 4th hole. Amazing. Team's got 83 wins, and other than the first 3 guys in the lineup, you can't trust anybody in the 4th spot. You can't trust Hoskins, certainly not Mitchell. Bauer's in a 194 batting average. I like Adames still in that 5 hole, but I wouldn't mind Adames, their best home run hitter, obviously with the 30 home runs in the 4th hole. Sal Frelick, I'm going to give him the rest of this year, and let's see how he does next year. The jury is still out, in other words, on Sal Frelick. I see his at-bats. I don't know. I don't see a heck of a lot there with Sal Frelick right now. I was more impressed with him last year when, against the shift, he was finding the holes. He was dropping down bunts. He was doing all the little things offensively. I don't see that same Sal Frelick anymore. Now, I'm not expecting him to be popping home runs. He has just 2. And again, if he's hitting just 2 home runs, he's got to be better batting than 263. 2 homers and batting 263 from a corner outfield spot. When we're trying to win World Series, need a little more. I'm not done with Frelick by any means, but the jury is out on whether this guy's going to be a star or not. When he came up last year, everybody loved Sal Frelick. Everybody loved him. Okay, loved what he did. I think that's cooled a little bit, including yours truly here. Remember, at the trading deadline last year, I said I would not be opposed to trading Sal Frelick, and I called every name in the book. I think some of you would take some of that back right now. But Sal Frelick, giving him the rest of this season, and I'm going to give him a little bit more next year because I'm in a good mood. Devin Williams. Is there anything better than Devin Williams striking out a batter called looking to end a game with that airbender? I love it. I love it. Devin getting strike 3 to end the game is fantastic, and a 3-2 win. He's been walking a little dangerous line out there. Walking guys. I feel like there's always guys on base when he's out there on the mound and finishes games off. Ever since coming off the injured list, I feel like, get a little scary at Devin Williams. He's got great stuff. I still love him. Of course I do. One of the best closers in the game. But Devin is, man, he's causing our blood pressure to go up a little bit these days. I don't know about that, but I feel like every outing it's 20 or 23 pitches or so. Let's see, how many pitches did he throw in the save spot? He threw 21 pitches. Got 2 Ks, gave up 1 base hit. I like McGill coming on in that 8th inning, that 8th inning, 9th inning duel of them. I'm telling you, I'm impressed with DL Hall. Since coming back, rejoining the team, 12 scoreless innings. He went an inning and 2/3 of scoreless ball on Tuesday night. I'm telling you, they got some great left-handed options. Anybody not named Hobie Milner. DL Hall, Ashby has been great. A couple of lefties. I'm telling you, that is going to be interesting when they put together that postseason roster. There might be a couple of good pitchers there not making the cut. Who would guess that? Savale, another one of those guys. Because, again, you might not use Savale or Montes, or one of the other might not get used because you're not going to use 5 starters in the postseason. But one of those guys, I would think, is going to be there for emergency long relief, or both of those guys, at least. Savale, 5 2/3. They pulled him out after 68 pitches, 3 hits. I thought Savale looked good. I thought he looked good. Did the job for me. Savale did. But Savale, I would guess if they had to come down to a 4th guy in the postseason, well, first of all, you'd have to win that 3-game wild card. If they're in that wild card, they'd have to win that 3-game set. And then we'll see coming up on Saturday who the Brewers would go with. And I would say Montes would get the ball over Savale. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I'm looking way ahead on that too. First of all, Brewers got to wrap up a 1 or 2 seed. And don't be thinking about worrying about the Cubs these days and that division title. Unless we're all talking about celebrating. Everybody wants to celebrate when the Brewers get home next week. If that's the case, that might be the case. When I hear people talking about clinching this division and that magic number, I think it might be. We all just want to see the Brewers celebrate winning a division title at AmFam Field. I think maybe that's what it is. That's what it is, because the Brewers are home all next week with Arizona and Philadelphia. I think that's what it is. All right, we come back. We'll look at Wednesday starters. Good pitching matchup as well. Chuck Freeman here at Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. PrizePicks is a great sponsor here. They're America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Over 5 million active members. PrizePicks, the easiest, most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, PrizePicks, it's you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less 2 to 6 player stat projections, more or less. Let's say maybe like Churio going Yahtzee, hitting the long ball. Maybe you think Terang is going to get a base hit, or you don't think he's going to get one at all. You can go over and under on that, more or less. You do that for football, several sports. Download the PrizePicks app first of all, and then use that promo code LOCKEDONMLB, and you'll get $50 instantly when you play $5. Again, that promo code LOCKEDONMLB, PrizePicks. You get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even have to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's just guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game, but get the PrizePicks now. There's a reason why it's America's #1 daily fantasy sports app and have 5 million active members. It is a great app and a site, and you could win up to 100 times your money with PrizePicks. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. All right. Brewers and San Francisco, 3 night games in the Bay Area. 8:45 that first pitch. Coming up on Wednesday night, Sirius XM. You get it. All 162. Great partners. Sirius XM. I have it. Can hear the road announcers, the home announcers. I'll put on the road announcers to see what they have going on, see what they say about our team. Always interesting. especially when those broadcasters come to Milwaukee. Always interesting to hear what they say about our city and our team, especially. All right. Colin Rea on the hill, 12-4, looking for a win and to take the series coming up on Wednesday night. Somebody asked me, should Colin Rea be the number one starter? Should he be the game one starter in the playoffs? No. Should it be Tobias Myers? No, they're not going to go with Tobias Myers. I'm telling you what, if there were odds for that on PrizePicks, if there's odds there on FanDuel, who do I think that opening day or that first game starter in the playoffs will be? I bet my life, I would say minus 700 on Freddie Peralta. Freddie is going to be that opener. He's going to be that, given him that he's healthy. I know he's last two starts he's been iffy, but Freddie is their guy. Freddie is going to be that starter. But Colin Rea, need him on Wednesday to come through. Blake Snell, who's pitched a no-hitter this year, a couple of weeks ago, he's 2-3. Get this. Blake Snell has got a $38.5 million player option for next year. Now, there was some talk after he pitched the no-hitter that Blake Snell was going to opt out of that and he'd be a hot commodity. I don't know. Blake Snell is 2-3. He's got a no-hitter under his belt this year. A $38 million option. Player option. If I was him, or if I was the Giants, I'd be like worrying a little bit. Please, Blake, don't be accepted. Don't be taking me for that $38 million. Imagine having to pay him $38 million for next year. Guy's got 2 wins. Blake Snell. Why would you ever give him $38 million in one of those contract years? He opts out. He becomes a free agent. Again, there was talk about a month ago that he'd opt out. Maybe not so much with the way things going. If he can get a multi-year deal, $38 million. 38. I suppose if he got 3 years and $80 million, I was going to pay Blake Snell $80 million over 3 years. Ain't no, who am I kidding? Colin Rea, 12-4 to the hill. Come on, Brewers, get this bats going. I mean, you won the game. You got a couple of key bases early on when they were offensively. They looked great. I thought, okay, they're going to be on 7 or 8 runs tonight. Ortiz looked like he was safe at home, but still, 3-2. The Brewers squeeze out a win, get a much, much needed win after that 2-4 road trip and the day off, a much needed day off Monday to start that West Coast swing on Tuesday and get the win. All right, everybody. 83-61. 83-61. And heading down to the final 2.5 weeks of the season. Got this road trip. Got a lot of home games coming up after this. A lot of home games. At the division title. Like I said, we could be celebrating next week at AmFam Field if you want to look at it that way. But I am cheering for the Cubs. I'll say that again. Cubs over the Dodgers. I'm cheering for the Cubs over the Dodgers. Nobody else. But in this case, Brewers being 2 games behind the Dodgers, I'm cheering for. I become a huge Cub fan. I might have a Cub jersey somewhere from back in the old days, a collector's item around here somewhere. Maybe I'll wear that. People will be looking at me. What are you doing wearing a Cubs jersey from 1978? My Dave Kingman jersey. I don't wear it in public. I just got it here. I do have it. I think it's an authentic jersey too. Dave Kingman. I got that somewhere. All right, that's going to do it. Again, our podcast, you get it on Google, Spotify, Apple, all the major downloads, wherever you download your podcast. That's where you'll find Locked On Brewers. And of course, our growing YouTube page. Search Locked On Brewers on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, hit the likes. All the content, as always free here on Locked On Brewers. It's 8:45 on Wednesday night, Sirius XM, the SXM app. Search Brewers. You'll get all 162 of Brewers baseball. And of course, you follow me on Twitter, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. For your second listen, Go to Locked On MLB. Our guy Sully, every night, he's talking the playoff races, Major League Baseball, everything you need to know with his own brand of humor as well. That's Sully on Locked On MLB. Until Wednesday night, late Wednesday night, this is Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Have yourself a great Wednesday, everybody.